Good evening, Forest. How's that talking snake of yours that you don't believe in? I've just watched your latest two videos on evolution. Evolution is an infant's way of saying God does not exist, and the follow-up video, Christians that believe in evolution are falling into the hands of atheists. Wonderfully titled, as if the exact opposite wouldn't be a truly terrifying prospect. I didn't think you were going to do any more of those. I thought that you were going to concentrate on your political stuff, but I see that you've had your arse handed to you on quite a few occasions regarding those, a bit like what is going to happen to you here in the next few minutes. Unfortunately, what has been seen cannot be unseen, and I am not going to get the 25 minutes of my life back that watching your two videos has deprived me of, so I'm going to give you a response. Now, there is not one single argument that you put forward, not one single point in either of those two videos that you made that I cannot debunk or refute. If you don't believe me, pick one. Pick any one of the points you made in those two videos that you want me to utterly destroy, and I will do. Consider it a challenge. That's a challenge in the sense of me throwing down the gauntlet, because refuting the bullshit that you took 25 minutes to get through would hardly be an academic challenge for me at all. I mean, the apes thing. Come of it. If we came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys here? I think that's on the Answers in Genesis website, on the really dumb fuck things not to use as an argument against the educated list. I think it's quite near the top in big letters and easy words, so that slow learners, Nephilim-free, and dumb fucks from Oklahoma like you can understand it. Your rambling argument and how you think that evolution works and how it's all impossible is both comical and painful to watch. It's painful because the viewer is hoping that at any moment you are going to put all the parts together and bingo, you get it. But then at the last minute you delight us all by completely getting it wrong. You don't even show us how you get it wrong. You just dive in there with both feet, with the duh, it's not possible. I don't understand it. I don't know why people believe it. It doesn't agree with the Bible. Your comments on why creationist biological scientists, which must be something akin to illiterate authors, tone-deaf musicians and quadriplegic jugglers, find it difficult to gain employment at research institutions just made me want to come and find you and beat you with the clue stick. Has it not occurred to you that companies and organizations spending millions and millions on research might want the people that are doing the research to have a bloody clue about what they're doing, the processes involved, and the concepts that drive those processes, and their knowledge is a little more detailed than what is written in scripture, and that their research is directed towards useful things, rather than proving the shit found in a Bronze Age book? If you don't believe me, then why don't you go and try and get a job as a researcher at a proper research institution, something like a pharmaceutical company, and let me know what kind of responses you get. I mean, for fuck's sake, the only way you're going to get into a university is in a fucking jar, and that's even considering that the only entrance requirement you seem to need for higher education these days is a fucking pencil. You don't appear to have the intelligence to be trusted with a brush and to be told to sweep up. As for no proof of evolution, have you ever been to a public museum? You know, the ordinary kind, not the fucked up Ken Ham creationist kind that you find in Kentucky where Jesus gets to ride on a dinosaur. Don't you get the Discovery Channel where you are, or is that a channel that you have yet to discover? The proofs are too numerous to mention in this video. Try getting your head out of your arse and reading. Please. And then there's your assertion that Genesis is literal, and that, as a good Christian, you should believe every word of it. Well, didn't you say in an earlier video that, you know, the one I responded to previously, that you don't believe in talking snakes? You know, like the talking snake in the Garden of Eden in Genesis? Genesis, that book in the Bible that has to be taken literally according to you. Have you changed your mind on that point now because it suits your argument, or do you still insist that the notion of a talking snake is retarded? And then there's Moses. Where do we start with Moses? Yeah, I'm also sure that he could count, but I'm a little doubtful on his grasp of microbiology, genetics, astrophysics and quantum mechanics, and I'm reckoning that his grasp of microelectronics could have been a little shaky. If for a moment, just for the lulz, we say your fairy tale is true, and let me assure you it isn't, and that God came down off his cloud and appeared in front of Moses as a flaming shrubbery, and explained how the world works. And by that I don't mean that bespectacled fucktard that stares at the camera without blinking for 10 minutes while rambling. I mean the physical world. How that actually works, with real science and stuff that is actually useful, rather than hokey-pokey fables and claptrap. Exactly how much of it do you think our Bronze Age Charlton Heston lookalike is going to understand? For fuck's sake, the concept of smelting iron had not yet been invented, let alone splitting the atom, or even the concepts of atoms. I mean, Moses came down off that hill having spent days talking with the creator of the universe, and all he had to show for it was a list of 10 common sense instructions, and even half of those had no use outside religion. It wasn't even a biblical equivalent of the number 42. Maybe, just maybe, Moses just didn't understand a bloody word he was told. Sort of like if you were to try to explain algebra to a dog. Maybe in the absence of an understanding, any understanding at all, he just said bugger it and made the shit up. Then again, I contend that he made the whole lot up anyway, including the bit about talking trees. After all, the people he was telling this stuff to must have been complete and utter dumbfucks. No wonder they spent 40 years going round in circles in the desert. They needed divine instruction direct from their God to tell them that taking a shit in their own camp just outside their tent was a bad idea, and that shagging their livestock was fucked up. That's probably what God was getting at when he said that you shouldn't covet your neighbour's oxen in the 10 Commandments. On that note, don't you think it says a lot that the 10 Commandments have instructions on not lusting after your neighbour's cows, and not shagging his wife or nicking his stuff, but bugger all about tampering with children? A loophole exploited for millennia by the priesthood that could have been cleared up in one single godly decree. Anyway, what have I left out? Oh yes, this sparkling gem. I'm going to have to show this. This had me rolling around on the floor in stitches of laughter and amazement, especially after you had just bashed so-called evolutionists for not having any common sense just before you said this.
I guess we come from plant life also, but there's no intermediate creatures between a plant and an animal of any kind or anything. There's nothing there either.
We came from plants? Really, Forrest? There are no intermediate species between plants and animals? The thought that immediately sprang to mind was that I was watching one. Although you are apparently human, the shit that comes out of your mouth betrays the fact that you are obviously a complete vegetable. I'm left wondering, and maybe you could help me with this, but did you get hit on the head when you were young, or were you born naturally gifted? Did you have your own seat reserved for you on the short bus, and if so, what flavour was your window? Did your parents have the same name before they were married, and have you only ever had one set of grandparents? I mean, for crying out loud, man, there are primary school children who can explain this stuff to you. You should hang your head in shame. You are fortunate. You have access to the greatest repository of knowledge that the world has ever seen. The most powerful communication tool devised in the history of mankind, where almost anyone can talk to anyone else about anything. Ideas and understanding can be shared at the speed of light. With the aid of a search engine, you can search on any subject, from the presence or absence of a pop star's underwear to the most detailed, cutting-edge scientific understanding and the proof and evidence that it is built upon. But you choose to come on here and take a piss in the fountain of knowledge, displaying to all the world how you don't understand a goddamn thing. How you have no intention of trying to, and how much scorn and disdain you have for those who have a damn sight more intelligence and understanding than you do. Up to now, I thought you did your videos with the lights turned off for dramatic and artistic effect, but the answer is now quite obvious. You're living in the Dark Ages, in a black hole of stupid. I would say you were willfully ignorant, but in your case, dumb by desire seems far more appropriate.
Ooh, how sweet to be an idiot.
I mean, why are there still apes here? They just stayed there. We don't know why. Yeah, you don't know shit. I mean, you guys don't know a damn thing. That's the truth.